Hi guys, and welcome back to the Library of Alexandria. And today, this is the first, a pilot, if you will, the first of a 246-part series. Brand new. It is called Better Know A BookTuber. Where I will be interviewing in short interview format many of my fellow booktubers maybe I don't even know any of them. Maybe I just randomly dropped an email and I'm talking to someone for the first time ever. That is not the case today. Today, in the very first part one of this 256-part series, I will be talking to Lezlie from the Nerdy Narrative, the Fighting Nerdy Narrative. So, Lezlie, welcome to this pilot episode of whatever this is. So tell us a little bit about your channel, The Nerdy Narrative, and why you decided to begin a BookTube channel. And how long have you been on BookTube?
What up, nerds? My name is Lezlie.
That's right.
I had to get it in there. Which that has...
Gotta have the catchphrase.
That has its own funny story. But I started my channel... I believe my first video went up February of 2020. Is that right? It feels like it's been...
That's class of 2020.
Yeah, it feels like it's been longer than that. It's the same year you started. But...
Yeah. The BookTube class of 2020 is good stuff.
Well, and how I started my channel is I have actually been researching and wanting to start a YouTube channel for a long time. I already had my little music that I play. I had my name. I knew it was going to be a book review channel. I had all of that laid out. The problem was I would sit down in front of my phone to film and I couldn't say anything. I literally went into stage fright, which is so odd if you know me in person because I never shut up. I literally never shut up. And I would turn that camera on.
I've met you in person and you have no problem talking.
And I would just sit there and stare at the camera. And I would send the clips to my friends because you could just watch the progression of my attitude. I would sit there and be frightened. And it would progress into frustration and looking around like, why can't I talk? And then it would get into like downright anger at myself. I mean, I would cross my arms over my chest and just huff. It took me 8 months to say anything. But what happened, what finally was the catalyst, I mean, I have a ton of friends that have large channels. They're gaming channels, which I almost went into that, but as a female, just knowing the kind of stuff girl gamers and girl channels get, I didn't want that. And I love to read. I've always loved to read. It just made sense. You're never going to run out of content as a book channel. Now, you're not ever going to be rich and make a lot of money off of it, but that wasn't the goal. So Chris got a job, a really great job opportunity here in Orlando, and he knew I would say yes to moving because it was within 5 miles of the most magical place on earth. That's right, Disney World. It was an instant yes for me. And when we moved here, we were here a couple of months and then everything shut down due to the pandemic. So it just made sense because I moved here. I did not have a job. I had not been able to find one. And I was like, what am I going to do? I'm somebody that likes to stay busy. And Chris was like, you know what? Now is the time to start this channel. You have all the time in the world to learn to edit and just how you want to do your format. He's like, nothing but time. And so that is exactly what I did. I finally was like, I'm going to do this. It's going to happen. And there we go. Now, my first videos are awful and terrible. Do not go into those. Oh my gosh. I didn't know anything about it, guys. Nothing about it. No lighting, no like setup placement, nothing. I didn't know how to edit. I literally did not know anything except how to talk about how much I loved a book. And I just learned a little bit as I went along. I made friends with other channels that had just started out and we kind of helped each other. And we are all still a close circle of friends even now. So that's the best part about BookTube is the community. And that's really saved my life because moving 700 miles. I had never left Mississippi. I had always stayed near my family. Never left, never moved away. And to move that far away from all of my friends and family I had known my entire life. And I am a social butterfly. I was always gone doing something. To move here, not know a single soul, be locked down in a house where I couldn't even go meet any new people. BookTube saved my life because I met so many amazing channels and people that like to read and talk about books. I did not suffer as far as having friends. So
that is awesome. That is an excellent origin story. Lezlie, so you just said that you had your like graphic and your opening music and stuff. I didn't realize that. Like, how did you do that? How did you do your opening graphic and music and et cetera, et cetera? And tell us the story of What Up, Nerds.
So my graphic came from one of my running friends, one of my triathlete training pals from back in Mississippi. That's his job. So I knew what I wanted it to look like, and I sketched out a very terrible looking picture of what I wanted it to look like, and I kept that. I do have that in my memory box from last year. And I sent it to Todd, and I'm like, here's what I want it to look like. Fortunately, he took that piece of trash and made it into the Nerdy Narrative logo. So he made my logo, and then Chris actually learned, and he secretly, when I thought he was playing video games at his desk at night, he was learning how to use Blender so he could make my animated logos. And he would
That's cool.
Yeah, he just, whenever, and it takes him a while too, like just like with me, learning a new piece of technology takes me a minute. That's why with my channel, I slowly learned one new thing at a time because it overwhelms me when I get new technology. And I just really need to be comfortable with what I'm doing. It needs to be a really just well laid out routine, and then I can learn something new without getting stressed. And he'll just make them and then drop them in my little, because I have a server with all my nerdy narrative stuff, and he'll just drop them in my little folder, and I'll find them, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. So Chris made that. My very good friend Lee, that was one of my coworkers at the credit union in Mississippi, he is a musician. He is a musician. He composes music. He writes. He's in a band. He's the singer. And I said, Lee, here's what my channel's going to be about. Of course, he had a lot of planning into that with me because he's a reader. And I said, I would love to have one of your songs be on my channel. And he's like, yeah, that's great. I would love to do that. And I said, here is the tone that I would like the music to be. And he went home and he picked out 3 of his songs that he felt satisfied what I asked him for. He sent them to me, and I loved all 3, but the one I chose was exactly what I wanted for the channel. And it will always and forever be my music on the channel.
Yeah. Haven't you changed your opening music before, though? Like, don't you
Yes.
change it seasonally?
So, no, I changed my animated logo around a little bit because I have a Christmas one. Now, I have used some other music for, like, vlogs and stuff like that, where it just, like, if I can't have a nice uninterrupted time for Nowhere Is Real to play, it sounds dumb for, like, a 10-second clip. So I'll use something just built into Filmora 9. Yeah. So that's how I got my logo and my animation. And then I got, let's see. So I mentioned I have friends that have large channels. I have been talking to them for years, asking tons of questions and just learning as much as I could. Even getting all of that wonderful information, it still did not prepare me for the amount of work that actually goes into a channel. You are everything. You are.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You're the creator, you're the actor, you're the reader, you're the reviewer, so you got to do your homework. You're the film set director, your lighting director, your editing director, your marketing director, your social media director. I mean, you have all of these things that you have to keep up with, and I just had no idea. And it took me a good year to learn everything and just get my routine laid out so my little OCD life can flow happily. And then, so when I came up with my name, I wanted to come up with a name that was versatile, the Nerdy Narrative, because I knew it was going to be nerdy stuff. I thought, Nerdy Narrative could cover more than just books. So if I wanted to talk about video games, I love PC gaming, I love playing console games. I thought,
console games.
Right, I thought that will, open up to do that sort of thing. If I wanted to talk about films and movies, stuff like that. I mean, it could really just have a nice umbrella name of a channel that could include whatever I wanted. And so that's how I came. And plus I was looking, I'm like, does anybody call themselves the Nerdy Narrative? Because I knew the main focus was going to be books. So that's where narrative came from. And so that's how I came up with the title. And I had lots of feedback on that with my friends. Nobody liked it but me, but that's okay.
What? Really?
Yeah, they all voted on something else, and I was like, well, you know what? Y'all didn't side with what I wanted, so I'm just going to go with what I wanted anyway.
Yeah. Also, not a democracy, so you gave them an opportunity to vote for the right thing.
And
they chose poorly.
Right. And then What Up Nerds was born from the early filming days of me not being able to say anything. And then finally, it popped out. What up, nerds? And it just started talking. I thought, that is so stupid. I am not going to do that. And so I stopped doing it for a couple of videos, and then people were like, please bring that back. And one of the subscribers who asked for that back, he has literally been with my channel almost since I started it. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I was like, and when he asked for it, I was like, you know what? I will do that for him. Because
you want to shout him out? Who is that?
It's John Saxon. You've probably seen him.
From Australia?
Yes.
John Saxon.
Yep.
Yeah.
He is the one I can really remember going all the way back to the beginning, and he has been with me the whole time.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy.
Yes.
Super nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is awesome. And I remember What Up Nerds from one of the first times I ever saw your channel. And that has stuck with me forever. What Up Nerds is my favorite. So, Lezlie, what kind of books do you normally read? Like mostly, what books do you read mostly on your channel?
The majority is probably still fantasy.
Still? Okay. Because I know you branched out a lot.
Yeah, with a close second of horror. That genre has just provided like the adrenaline rush, the perpetual dread and suspense.
Yeah.
While it scares the absolute stuffing out of me, I am addicted. So if I go too long without reading a thriller or a horror novel, I just start fiending. So I really, really love fantasy and horror, but gosh, science fiction, classics have been a huge thing for me. I seem to always have a classic going these days.
Yeah.
And let's see.
Some bizarre Russian literature, Christie.
Right.
You're reading with Christie, or something that you're reading with Una and Crypto, right?
Yeah, and so let's see. Manga and comics are a pretty big part. What else? I would say the majority is fantasy, horror, science fiction, classics, literary fiction is probably the bulk. But I am not scared to try other things. Christian fiction is one I've been into a lot lately too.
Yeah. So Lezlie, what is you were talking about how difficult BookTube is. Like, you have to do so much crap. You're absolutely right. What is your least favorite? You talked about the favorite part's the community, obviously. What is your least favorite part of YouTube? What parts do you like the least that you have to do for your videos?
So that is a difficult question because I have to say editing.
Yes.
But I love and hate editing. I love to edit I love to see my own reactions because I just literally have bullet points of what I want to talk about in a book. Like, I don't make notes.
Yeah.
I have notes, like if it's a fantasy book, I want to make sure I cover world building, characters, plot, magic system. I have those bullet points. I'm like, okay. And then I don't write anything out, because if I write it out, it distracts me and it interrupts my flow. I want my videos to feel like a conversation with you. When you're sitting there watching my videos, I want it to feel like we're having just an easy conversation. I'm telling you about a book I loved. I don't want to read from a script, because I feel it stilts me.
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, I am terrible about saying something, and then 3 sentences later, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I just thought of a much better way to say that. And I start over. And then I have trouble speaking. And it comes out in live streams because I can't edit it out. You're going to discover it when you're editing this. Sometimes words are hard. Sometimes I have to stop and try to let my sentence get back in the correct order in my brain so it comes out of my mouth right. Mm-hmm. And when I'm editing, you're going to hear so many false starts. Like, it drives Chris crazy. Because sometimes I won't like the way I said something. And then I try to say it a different way, and it comes out it's like the more I try, the more I get in my own way, and that gets really frustrating in editing. So editing takes me a lot longer than I feel like most people. For a 10-minute video, which is what I really aim, I would love if all my videos were only 10 minutes, but I love to talk, so that almost never happens. But that 10-minute video is a lot of times edited down from an hour and a half of footage, because I have struggled so much trying to get the information out, and then I just have to go through all of that and pick out stuff and put it in order so it makes sense.
Wow. An hour and a half of footage for sometimes a 10-minute video?
Yeah, it's rough.
Whoa. Yeah, because when we saw you last time, a couple weeks ago, right? Weren't you saying that you film the whole thing over if you mess up? You don't just go back a couple sentences, right? You film your whole thought over.
Yeah, I have an A-type personality, and so when I interrupt myself, I start over from the beginning.
Oh man,
it's
Lezlie.
horrible. Yeah.
How long does it take you to edit a video typically?
It'll take me. I usually will spend all morning editing one video.
Ugh. I also hate editing, mostly because it's not that I don't like editing, because I don't mind adding bits and clipping everything out. But the problem is I can't do anything else while I'm editing, and it takes so much time.
Yeah.
Because you and we use Filmora, and you can't speed up the bloody timeline while you're editing.
Right.
So, you got these people I use Premiere Pro, and, I'm editing at 2 times speed. So the length of your footage is the least amount of time you're going to spend editing, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, same crap, Lezlie. I'm totally with you. I don't have that much footage, cut down that much, but, my videos are long for sure. I ramble and ramble.
Well, I have looked at other editing software, and when I open it up, it looks so complicated my brain just shuts down.
That's right.
Maybe one day, but that day has not yet come. Filmora is, it's easy to use. I like it. I'm comfortable with it. I'm familiar with it. And I won't ever get into that fancy editing. I love some of the cute videos that folks put together, but I can't do it.
I can't either. It's just I just don't have the time or the inclination to learn something brand new that complicated. Maybe one day, but now is not the time.
So I figure a lot of people do like I do. There is a 5% chance I don't watch your video. There's a 95% chance I am walking around with my dogs and I have an earbud in and my phone is in my pocket, or I'm cleaning house and I am listening to it. And I have a pretty good feeling a lot of people consume BookTube just listening on their earpods. So I'm not too broken up about not having fancy editing.
Yeah, yeah. That's probably true. Sometimes I will misspeak in my videos, and I will put up I'll flash text on the screen that says this is not right, like this is the thing, and then in the comments people will be like, well, actually that's not. I'm like, I know, like that's why I put up the correction.
Yeah.
And then I can tell that they weren't watching it, which is fine because I also primarily listen. Not always, but primarily listen. That's why I always try to put in like an audio cue if I ever do that. If I ever pop anything on the screen, I try to include the or whatever.
Right.
So that people can look, be like, oh, something happened. So, Lezlie, this is what people want to know. We're getting to the question section about like the stuff that the inquiring minds want to know. First of all, who's your favorite author, or what are a couple of your favorite authors? Like, give me your top three, and it doesn't even have to be in any particular order. Just three of your favorite authors right now.
Oh, three of my favorite authors right now. Zora Neale Hurston.
Sure.
I cannot
I don't know
get
who
enough.
that is, Lezlie.
Oh
Who
my
is that?
gosh,
Who is that?
Alan! Their eyes were watching God.
I don't know what that is.
It
Is that a classical book?
It is a classic, and she is one of
that's
the
why I don't know what it is.
best classical writers. I have been just screaming through her works.
What's her name? Zora Neale Hurston?
Zora Neale Hurston.
Okay.
And I'm actually about to be doing a reread of Their Eyes Were Watching God on the channel in October. Oh, that is just the most beautiful, beautiful story. And what's really great is Zora Neale Hurston is local to my area. And what is it called? I can't remember the name of the town. But I've thought about actually going and visiting and just filming some footage from it. But
Dang, you totally should.
yeah, but she wasn't discovered until another author actually started bringing light to her work. And so that's why you might not have heard much about her. But I read that story, I loved it, I gushed about it, and then Evie sent me a whole box full of Zora Neale Hurston's books, and we've been reading them together. So she is a top favorite. I mean, I have not been disappointed by anything I've read by her so far. The next one will be Stephen Graham Jones, and he's
the horror writer, right?
He is, but he is an English professor at a Colorado college, and he is very well known for writing literary fiction horror. Mm-hmm. So it's beautiful. And what I love about him, he is an indigenous author. He's a Blackfeet Native American, and he writes these very entertaining, mostly slashers. But he also has an underlying theme, a statistic about his people that he weaves into his stories. And I picked it up when I first read The Only Good Indians, and it actually made me curious. I went and researched, like, his people, their customs, their beliefs, their traditions, and I understood the story so much better. Mm-hmm. And he's one that you always want to read his author's note at the end, because he tells you, and I'm one that I like to know the authorial intent. So he tells you why he wrote it. He tells you that underlying theme, the statistic of how many Native American daughters are abused by their fathers, and how they are still they suffer racism today. And it's just, so I love him. And
who's your favorite fantasy author? Adding to that.
We
got literary fiction, horror, and pick one of your favorite fantasy authors.
Oh man. Okay, I'll go with one of my favorite new fantasy authors for this year. That would be Joe Abercrombie. And I am just reading all of his work right now. He is so funny with his characters. I love all of his characters. Good, bad, in between, starts out good, goes bad. I don't care. I don't care what their motivations are, what drives them. I just smile. And they're supposed to be grimdark books, but I'm just sitting there grinning my full head off the whole time I'm reading it.
I have yet to pick up First Law, and I keep that. Like Abercrombie,
yeah.
Other than Stormlight, it is the single most requested author that I pick up is Abercrombie. Like everyone.
I think you're going to like him. I think you're going to like him.
Yeah, that's the great debate. There's only a couple people like Andrew who think I'm not going to. Most people, the consensus seems to be that I'm going to like Abercrombie. Well, let me ask you this: a follow-up, and the idea for this question was supplied by our friend Jake, the bookish drummer. Would you rather have Stephen Graham Jones write the First Law? Would you rather read First Law written by Stephen Graham Jones or Only Good Indians written by Joe Abercrombie? Which one would you rather read?
I would take Joe Abercrombie writing The Only Good Indians all day long. Yeah.
Why is that?
Because Stephen Graham Jones would just, they would both be perfect actually writing each other's work, because there are some horrific things that happen in the First Law that Stephen Graham Jones would just really, really write well. But he has a beautiful writing style, and I just kind of love the grit of Joe Abercrombie's style. And I think Joe would actually be able to just make The Only Good Indians just really raw. And I think, that's pass. Next question. I can't do that.
Pass?
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. All right. So we got some questions rolling in from the audience. Who is your favorite dog? Is it Milo or Bandit?
That is hateful. But so
please keep in mind that we're going to tell each of them what your answer was, so they will definitely know.
So
we'll stream it directly into their ear.
I love them both very, very much. Like, Milo is my first pup I've ever had. That was mine. He and I were love at first sight. He liked me way more than Chris when we first met, but he and Chris are like best friends. Like, Chris is his person. And Bandit chose me as his person. And Bandit is very jealous. And so he runs Milo off from me a lot. So I actively go to Milo and I make sure I spend quality time with me and him. Like, usually he'll get up early in the mornings and come sit in my chair with me, and we love on each other, because Bandit stays in bed until I get Chris up. And so I love them both very, very much, but Bandit would make me choose him. So,
so it's Milo if Bandit's not around.
Yes.
Because Bandit's a bully.
That's perfect.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Charmaine wants to know, because you are well known for smelling books. Your love of sniffing books is well known. In fact, don't you have merchandise that says you like to sniff books?
I do.
Nice. What is your ideal book smell?
Oh, so, that is just impossible to describe unless you were standing here. And I could do like I did my mother-in-law. When I went home last Christmas, she watches my channel. She watches everything. She's wonderful. She asked me about that. She said, do these books really have different smells? Well, of course, I had a backpack full of books that I took home at Christmas. And I was like, well, hold on, Wendy. And I brought them out and I had her smell the different books, because they do have different flavors. And some smell better than others. Like the UK version of Robin Hobbs, perfect. It's like the perfect mixture of paper and ink. They're wonderful. The new covers of the Stephen King's Dark Tower series, like those smelled so good that I was spending equal time sniffing as I was reading. Yeah, I would like turn the page and I would get a waft and I'm like, well, hang on a second.
My favorite book smells are my mass market paperbacks that I've owned for like 20-something years.
Oh, the old ones.
The ones you find in like used bookstores, and everyone always tells me like, Alan, that's like mold, right? Like that's why it smells like that, because it's like it's been just sitting there collecting, like must. I don't know. I love the smell of ancient paperbacks.
Well, the leather-bound books too.
Oh, I bet.
Oh man, I think that's my top favorite.
The like what, your leather-bound Way of Kings or whatever?
Yeah, those are just and they haven't lost their potency. Like, some of your paperbacks are gonna lose potency, so
yeah,
that's always a shame.
Okay, So now I'm going to ask you some. Now I'm going to ask you some opinions, some defend these opinion questions. All right.
Uh-oh.
So here's what I want to know. Why is Battleground the best Dresden book? Go.
Why do you keep asking me this question? You literally need some new material.
No, everyone on BookTube wants to know why you enjoyed Battlegrounds so much.
This everyone.
From what you told me.
This everyone on BookTube you're talking about clearly doesn't watch my channel, and they don't even know me.
Lezlie,
pass.
I've heard you say on your channel that Battlegrounds is hands down your favorite of the Dresden Files.
Okay.
I'll even put up a graphic. I'll put up a graphic.
No graphic. I want you to. No, Alan. You go clip that video where I said that.
Of Battlegrounds? Okay.
Yes. You clip the video where I specifically say, hands down, Battleground is. Now, I don't need no extra clips. Don't be splicing anything together. We know how you are. I, Lezlie Smith, love Battleground by Jim Butcher. You're tricksy.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you can't be trusted. Yeah.
Okay. So clearly, all right. Well, clearly you don't think Dresden is Battlegrounds is the best Dresden book, but
Changes is the best.
With Battlegrounds a close second. We'll accept that.
No, not even in the top 5. It is literally the worst.
Also,
on Goodreads, I gave it 2 stars, Alan. Nobody's gonna believe you.
2 out of 1 star. We've moved on past that.
Okay.
So it's also well known that you are a huge Doctor Who fan. So why is David Tennant a better Doctor than Matt Smith? You have the floor.
You said that backwards. Why is Matt Smith better than David Tennant? Because
you misheard. Everyone wants to know why Matt Smith is the worst of the new Doctors.
He is not the worst. He is the best. He is the best looking. He is the best at. He had the best episodes, the best storyline, literally the best of everything. He had my best favorite companion, although Donna Noble is second favorite. But yeah, Amy Pond, come on, man. The Angels, come on. Matt Smith, David Tennant didn't fight them and win. Who was that? Matt Smith.
The Angels appeared in Blink under Tennant.
It doesn't matter. They came back, and who took care of them then? Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to move on. All right, this question comes in from Klaus. Veradis, bad protagonist or worst protagonist?
Klaus is the worst booktuber.
Okay, we can agree on that. But Veradis, bad protagonist or worst protagonist? Are you there? You still there?
Oh, I'm here. I'm waiting for like a legitimate question that has
that's the question.
Reasonable
Lezlie, I've got this piece of paper. Lezlie, I've got this piece of paper. It has 2 check
Veradis
boxes.
is the best.
Check bad.
Okay,
well.
Alan.
Right, then
Alan.
Lezlie, I'm just going to check. Lezlie, I only have worst or bad, so I'm just going to check bad because you very clearly don't think he's the worst. So I'm just going to check bad for you. All right?
He's not bad. He's one of the best.
But he's not. You don't think he's the worst, and I don't have an option for not bad. I only have
Well, I'm
bad
sorry that you didn't put in all of the options. I'm glad this is the pilot episode. I hope you learn to actually be better prepared with your options.
Yeah, maybe my printer only printed out those bottom 2 options. Okay. Thank you for humoring our questions from the audience. And so, last question. What is a booktuber that you like? Don't tell me booktubers that you don't like. What is a booktuber? Who's a booktuber you like that one has similar taste to you, and one that has completely dissimilar taste to you? And so yeah.
That's difficult. I'm trying to think if there's anybody who reads all of the same thing. Well, so Andrew's Wizardly reads well, no, he doesn't really read classics, but I've gotten him into horror, and he reads a lot of indie, which indie authors, self-pub authors, just they are the beating heart of me and my channel. So who reads indie authors, horror, fantasy, and maybe some classics? I'm trying to think of somebody who is that similar to my channel.
Look at you standing alone, having no one to pin.
Like, there's so many people that are close. Like Christy Lewis, she reads fantasy. I don't think she reads horror, but she reads classics.
Yeah.
Stephanie from Miss Richards Reads, she does classics, and she does mystery thrillers and fantasy. Kate from the Literary Apothecary, she has read a lot. Now, she has read some horror, some of my favorites. She reads classics, she reads fantasy, and you know what? She might be my closest twin. And
Wow.
Sharon Dwyer is another one. She reads
Oh, yeah,
classics and
Sharon's
horror
great.
and fantasy and science fiction. So, you know, Sharon Dwyer and Kate from Literary Apothecary might be my closest BookTube twins.
Nice.
Now,
All right, and
someone I
Dissimilar?
watch with Dissimilar. Well, I would say Mason in the Dark. He loves mystery and thriller, which I've only read like one mystery in the last 2 years, but I'm about to read one. We did a TBR swap book for October.
Nice.
He chose a book for me and I wanted to read it because he gave it such a high review, and I chose a book for him. So he's going to read The Blade itself. I'm going to read Sweet Pea. It's the first of the series.
Yeah.
But Mason in the Dark, he is a blind BookTuber. And
Yeah.
which doesn't bother me that he has a black screen because I'm usually listening. But he's
Exactly.
he's British. He has the most cheerful voice. I love to listen to him talk. And I've been talking to him. We've become friends, of course. I'm always adding to my friend pool. But he started writing, sharing some of the poems that he's written. He recently put up a short story that he wrote, and I loved it. I've been telling him for a while now. I'm like, you're an author. I want to hear some of your work too. So yeah, I would have to say probably Mason, because everybody else, well, here's what happened. When I started, I was a fantasy science fiction channel.
Yeah.
And then I found Brad Proctor and Nikki with Dark Between Pages, and then I got into horror. Even though I had no interest in it, they made these books sound so good that I started reading them. And then I fell in love. And then I met Christy Lewis and the Codex Cantina, and they just made classics sound so good that I got into classics and literary fiction. So I started out watching a bunch of channels because I liked the people. And then just decided to try some of their favorite works that they had read, and then fell in love, and then here we are today.
Nice.
I used to list out, I'm like, hi, my name is Lezlie. I read, science fiction,
When
fantasy,
I started
and
watching,
horror.
it was science fiction fantasy.
Yeah, and then I was just adding to it, and now I'm just like, I hope I can tell you about the books I'm reading and help you find your next book.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so real final question. Lezlie, what booktuber would you like to see on a future episode of Better Know A BookTuber?
They're just
Yeah,
one?
Just name one, because I got a couple in the pipeline, but I'm gonna take down names and try to prioritize if people want to see them. So give me one.
Just one. Alan.
I'm already on it, so you can't say me.
How am I supposed to pick?
I don't know. Just pick someone who you want to torture with my questions.
What about Jake Bishop? I like Jake.
I like Jake also. Cool. I just wrote Jake's name down, and we may see Jake in a future episode of Better Know A District. So Lezlie, thank you so much for being my guest. I would reach across and shake your hand, but you were in Orlando and I am here. like 6 hours away from you. But thank you so much for being such a good sport and for telling us a little bit about your BookTube journey and what you enjoy doing, what you enjoy reading. This has been absolutely, this has been so much fun. It's just been so much, I don't know, I didn't know what I was going to expect, but this has been delightful. So,
Oh, we always have fun together. You know that.
That's right, we do. So guys, thanks for watching the first part of the new 256-part series, Better Know a BookTuber. My guest has been the incomparable Lezlie from The Nerdy Narrative. If you are not following her and subscribe to her and watching her content, you are a fool. What are you doing? Subscribe down below in the description. If you have someone that you would also like to see on this new series, please let me know in the comments. If you have any other questions for Lezlie, please put them down in the comments, and I will make sure that she gets them and can hopefully respond to you and maybe give you more reasons on why she loves Battlegrounds so much, because by the time this is coming out, you will have seen the clip of her saying how much she loves Battlegrounds. As always, guys, information about my Patreon and Discord is down in the description, and I will see you next time, guys.
Bye, guys.